Beautiful souls, I'm Awakened Soul, and today we're going to be setting up for our next trade. We're going to start from the beginning, and I'm going to be teaching you how I go about setting up my charts. So the first thing is I like to start in the monthly chart, right? And all this to go down to the 1 minute. Yes, so one touch, two touches, right on the wicks. My monthly is the red. So just here observing, we can see price action, and I do use the 1226 EMAs. We can see price action above support trend line, and we can see a breakdown, retest. So just looking at this, it gives me some belief that we could roll down to the downside. Okay, so and if that would be the case, I'll give you a monthly target really quick. This is your monthly target. If you know, you know. Please follow me in my Twitter, and join my Discord more than anything. Beautiful, knowledgeable people there. So one touch, two touches, right? And sometimes I have to move it just to make sure. Okay, this is where it goes. Good. So in this case, I like it perfect. So now I'm in my monthly, right? One touch, two touches. If it rolls or decides to go to the upside, I'm going to give you a target here. Where's my cross? My target for a bullish scenario would be around 30, I would say 39. Wonderful. Like to highlight it. Okay. Now that I'm here, I'm going to go to my weekly time frame. On my weekly time frame, I'm going to, and I use the 1226, but I did start using the 100. I think it's really cool. So the black is the 100. So I like to turn on my higher high, lower low indicator just to give me market structure. So as we can see in the weekly, we've created a lower high. So when it comes to my weekly, I'm going to set my range and some trend lines. And I just play around with the higher high, lower low, just trying to see what gives me enough, highs and lows for me to create a nice trend line, right? So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my pivot highs and lows. Also great indicator. And this is just going to help me find my range, right? So this is going to be my weekly high. Weeklies are orange. And this is going to be my weekly low. And as you can see, we have officially created a new weekly low. Therefore, I'm going to mark the next low. Even though the candle is not closed and it's still a live candle, the fact that we wick down is creating a new low for me. Any trend lines that I could put on? Yeah, sure. So we have my ranges, right? And I use the ranges as support and resistance. So one touch, two touches, that would be a trend line, a weekly trend line I'll consider. And I'm not going to put a weekly resistance as I put a weekly support, because we have the monthly here, and the monthly is stronger than the weekly, and they end up in the same place. And by the time we're done, we have a techno party. So yeah. So just based on this, right, we know our monthly target would be 39. Let me cover it over here, right? If price action were to roll to the upside. But let's say price action would come down and I wouldn't get a weekly target, same reason, because the monthly is stronger. So if price action would fall based on my strategy, we have one touch, two touch, and price action would fall over. I would set my target right here. And that would be my weekly target. And of course, this only happens when trend lines break. So I need this weekly target trend line to break for it to roll over to 21. All right, let's move into our daily. Within my daily range, I like to focus on my contraction phase, right? It's important to understand market structure once you enter your daily. This is a contraction phase. This is a contraction phase, right? So as market moves, this is a contraction phase. We have contraction phase, trend up, contraction phase, trend up, contraction phase. So let's just focus on our contraction phase today and see what it's doing and where it's going most of all. So within this contraction phase, what I want to do is get the POC, and I do use the tool that's provided by TradingView, the fixed range volume profile, right? So this is my daily POC, and it just gives me a sense of knowing where the probability or knowing the probability of where price action could return based on the highest volume. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it here, daily POC. Wonderful. Let me erase it. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my higher high, low, low indicator here. And the reason is because please know and learn that every contraction phase will give you a pattern. Just like this pattern was a M, V recovery. So within this contraction phase, we're going to have a pattern. So what do you see? What can you tell from it? So just off the bat, connecting again some trend lines, right, from high to the previous lower high. We could see, oh, sorry, everything has to be color coordinated. My dailies are pink on the white screen, yellow on the black screen. But okay, so we have one touch, two touch, and it's really important for you to observe, as I'm observing, that this is like a falling wedge, bullish flag. It looks like it. We officially did create a new daily low, so that's important to observe too. And turning on pivot highs and lows, you're gonna get your range, right? So here, so this is gonna be my daily high. And even though it's not marking it here, I'm gonna consider this my daily low. Right? Oh, Siri's talking to me. Okay, so we're getting closer to where we're headed, right? We're pinpointing price action. More than that, we're trying to understand the flow of the chart, right? So it's important for you to understand where it's headed by understanding the flow from the beginning. So now that we have our daily range, I want you to make that observation. Price action above 1226, wonderful. Price action below 1226, wonderful. So we are in a daily bearish trend. After my daily is set, I am going to go to the 4 hours. And within the 4 hours, same process, I'm going to concentrate on my contraction phases. By that being said, you know, this is a contraction phase. This is a contraction phase, you know, so it's sideways movements before a big trend down, contraction phases. And you could find them all over this. So my concern here with this ripsaw, and I was mentioning it to my members on my Discord, when I get to my 4 hours, I'm always looking for my contraction zone. So just looking at this, I have a feeling, what about if this whole area is a contraction zone? And the reason I say that, because it could be some sort of a Wyckoff pattern here, and this could be a huge ripsaw. Let me draw it out for you so you can see what I'm talking about. And it's just the thought I'm having. We had a down movement, we had the H, ripsaw up, down, right? So what's not to say we continue to go sideways and then continue to the upside, right? It would be confluence with this bullish flag with this falling wedge. That could be a possibility. So I am keeping an eye on that. Let's go ahead and focus here, right? Our focus is finding a trade, finding an entry right now. So on my 4 hours, I do, like I said, mention, I have powerful trend lines that I follow. And another thing that I added to my TA is this PVA candle by Dom. It has this dragon, so I'm looking at it at the 4 hour to see where it's at, if it's, you know, finding that resistance, is it finding support right now. price actions under the clouds. It's something for me to be aware that it's bearish. So right here, pivot highs and lows. Wow, it's coming down. Not enough trade, but it's okay. Okay, so I'm going to do 1 touch, 2 touches. Always focus on the previous price action, okay? Always focus on the previous price action. So of course I could have used this, and I could have used this, right? Let me get some targets here to the upside. So if this was the case, this would have been my target, so it has not been hit. Then this would have been my target. A lot of targets going on, and now this is going to be my target. So from 2700s would be ideal. And also if you turn on the PVA Dragon, you're able to see the imbalances, not so much in the 4 hours, but once you start going into a smaller time frame, you're able to see the candles that they need to come back to recover for, right? What time frame are they in? Oh, I'm looking for them. Okay. And again, there's so many all over, so which ones are they going to recover first, right? The ones up here or the ones down here? That is the question. So I hope that made sense, the 4 hours target. I know it's a lot going on here, so I am going to erase just a couple of them. So we're just going to leave it as this being my 4 hour bullish target. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so for my bearish, I mean, this is still live. Oh, what was it in my 4 hours? So I'm trying to find a range within the 4 hours. I got some trend lines. This will be my high in the 4 hours. And the reason I'm not setting anything down here is because we have our daily, excuse me, daily support here. And this is a live candle. So I don't do trend lines if the candles are live. One thing that I did want to bring up that I did notice, I sometimes use the line chart. Was it on my daily? Yeah, sometimes you just have to go all over the place. But it makes sense to me, and I hope you're learning something about it. So my daily, I had this like, right, this was major support. It doesn't make sense. It has to make sense to price action. Yeah, this was a beautiful resistance, but it has nothing to do with what's going on today. So it's irrelevant. Right here. You see this beautiful trend line? So, and it's like X marks the spot. All the trend lines are pointing to this section right here at 25. So I'm going to mark this trend line, right? 1 touch, 2 touches. And the reason I decided to go to a line, because there's cases like this where it's really wicky, and in the end they end up being the bodies of the candle. So I'm going to mark it, and I'm going to, so this acted like resistance, right? We broke through, and now it's going to act like support for price action, because this was the neckline, right, of this pattern. So major support here in my eyes. Okay, let's go to the 4 hours. Sorry, I'm just giving you all my secrets just because I am looking for a trade. What else do I look for, right? So I have this great indicator, the Trader XO levels. Trader XO, he's a YouTuber. He's a great technical analysis that I do watch once in a while. If I do watch TA on YouTube, I recommend Trader XO. He's really good. Right to the point. So with this levels, as you can see, we get daily opens, weekly opens, and monthly opens, and those are the ones that I'm concerned about. So sorry, I'm gonna go back to the weekly. So what I do is turn off my candles, right? And remember price action. So price action's right here. So that's my only concern. So what I'm looking for is rows of dots, just like this. And I'm going to mark them. I'm going to mark them as major, like this is a monthly resistance or support depending on where price action is. So it's just telling me to keep an eye on this level. Then we have weekly here, right? Because they're orange. Another weekly here. So if they have 3 or more dots, for me it's considered, you know, major support resistance. And I use this because sometimes, like when you're in a sideways action, you're able to see how price action ping pongs around those areas. So it has helped me take my trades and just more than anything, take my profits, right? Like if we from this area comes to this area, I'm going to take my profits. And once I turn on the wicks, kind of makes a little bit more sense, right? How price action reacts to each level. And here it's sitting down. But okay, we're in the 4 hours, 2 hours. What do I see? 2 hours, 1226 EMAs. Let's turn them on. Lots of resistance there, major. And it looks like we just rejected and we just rolled back over. Let me turn off everything so it doesn't look so noisy. Okay. So now that I'm here, right, what am I observing? What am I looking for? My contraction phase, right? My contraction phase is sideways movement. So this zone right here, this is a contraction phase, just like this sideways movement was. So I'm getting, so what is our new contraction phase telling us? Let's turn on higher high, lower low. And sometimes we can find a pattern and just connecting trend lines, like you said, in the one touch, 2 touches. This is my blue. Let's do dark blue just because. And this candle's still alive, so I'm not going to consider it, but we could kind of, you know, it looks like a falling wedge here maybe. It could bounce to the upside, give it some strength to the upside. So let me go ahead and share this with my community really quick, just so they know what I'm seeing. Because we're getting closer to making a decision here of where to enter. I got my hourly range here going on. Okay, so I'm looking at this like a bull flag right now. I do have to consider the retrace that happened right after each move to the upside. You're going to have a retrace. So pull a fib from the bottom to the top. Let me just reverse this. And this itself is just going to tell me that we came back for a 50% recovery, 50% retrace. So it would make sense to bounce off from here. Maybe. Maybe. That's pretty bearish. Wow. Oh. So to enter a position here, I would probably, I hate chasing wicks, let me tell you. So this is going to be my 5-minute range. So this is going to be my range to play. So this is how it's going to go. And I hope you see it, how from the monthly countdown to this point. So this is my range. Okay, I'm going to set some alarms and allow it to play because it could take a while here. All right, it could be like, and then decide to go up or down. So set your alarms. It's important to set your alarms. So what I'm looking at and what I'm thinking, right, creating this higher low and then breaking to the upside, retrace, and then we could continue to the upside. or of course, you know, we've been creating lower highs, we most definitely could break this, create a new lower high and retrace and then continue to the downside. So where it's at right now, I'm fishing a higher low. I am looking to long from this area to the upside if it starts rotating. And of course, I go into my 1 minute to see if it's rotation. And my fishing will take place around here. So I want price action to rotate, right? Even come here, gonna give me a cup and then rotate to the upside, or it's gonna come and just crash to the downside, right? So it's something we have to consider. But I hope this helped, guys. I hope you learned something. I love you all. Remember to do everything with love, and more than anything, follow me, show me some love, and join my Discord. This is what I do for my community. I help on my setup, and I give them the next play, the next range. All right, much love. Bye bye.